Guys, this is Lord Chael speaking on behalf of our show sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. They allow you to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so you can officially call yourself a lord or a lady. Established Titles is not just about your ego. You also get to do some good. In addition to your new fancy title, Established Title supports global charities like One Tree Planet and Trees for the Future to help with the afforestation effort. Your title pack gets you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land in a private estate in Scotland. Your certificate features a unique plot number where you can see the exact location of your land. And right now, Established Titles is holding 200 plots of land right next to mine. So come join me in the Bad Guy Inc. Kingdom. Getting this certificate even allows you to officially change your name to Lord or Lady. Put it on your credit card, put it on your plane tickets, or if you're so inclined, put it on your dating profile. Makes for a great last-minute gift, and there's even couples packs that come with adjoining plots of land. Established Titles is having a great limited-time sale. Go to establishedtitles.com/Chael to save 10% off today. Remember to use the promo code Chael, or just click on the link below. Oscar Wood. That's a random name, and you guys have heard me mention it a time or two. But when I was growing up, I would see this guy every Saturday. Like, this was the guy. He would be at the little Saturday tournaments that I would go to, that if you had a $10 entry fee, you could enter the tournament. But then he would go to the state meet, he would go to the national meet, he would go off to the Olympic Games, right? He was the guy. And yeah, I would see him in matches at times, and there'd be somebody else that wasn't the guy, wasn't in the category of the guy. He'd be going to the third round. Oscar's beating him, but he's beating him by 2 points. He'd be going to the third round. This random person's up by 1. Now, time the end of the match came, none of them ever beat him. And there's guys like that. Let me use a different example for you Yoel Romero. But I knew Yoel back when he was wrestling. I knew Yoel from the time he was 19 years old and he was on the national team representing Cuba. And Yoel was incredible. I mean, as an athlete, just as an athlete, which he decided to put into wrestling. But this is a rare DNA wonder. People were scared of him. The Russians were scared and trying to find somebody that could compete with him. The Americans were scared and paying respect. And Yoel would win a match 1-0, and it would be 0-0 with seconds left against a guy that wasn't overly talented. Well, how does that work? I mean, if you can go 1-0 with the world champion, I think that proves that you're pretty good, yes? Yeah. In damn near every situation, yes. But sometimes there's these guys, and their mind works differently. And they throw minutes away. And they throw periods away. And they come on at the end. A great example where you do see it very commonly is track and field. When you're watching that race, right, say it's a 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes in, like whatever the order of the people are, is a terrible order that you would then go and bet and assume they're going to finish in. I mean, it gets all jumbled and mixed up. Everybody's got a different strategy. Who's floating? Who's going to come on? Who's already given their sprint? Yoel Romero lost every fight I've ever seen him in. Well, except that he didn't. I mean, I watched Tim Kennedy kick the crap out of him until Yoel turned it on. Then he not only won, he won by stoppage. I watched Luke Rockhold play with him. Well, and that's true until Yoel turned it on and finished the entire fight. I watched Chris Weidman make it appear that Yoel was going to be released because he didn't belong until Yoel turned it on, and not only won, he finished the fight. Now, I bring that example because you guys have seen it too, but I'll only tell you that he wrestled that same way. Yoel was a rope-a-dope. The whole match was a rope-a-dope. He would be in wrestling matches. I mean, he's telling a story. He can't get up. He's wrestling some guy. I got to put it like that. I'm sure the guy perfectly talented, but I'm telling you, Yoel was the best on earth. He's wrestling some guy. He can't get up. Oh, he's trying to walk to the middle. Oh, he's calling time, and the referee's warning him, you have no more timeouts. Oh, please, but and he get to the mat. The whole thing was a story and a rope-a-dope. Boom, Yoel wins and goes on to the next round. I've done the same thing. I can relate to it, and I bet you guys have too. But we did it on the front end, right? Let me explain. I would go out and get points in a wrestling match. Now, I'm like anybody. I got energy and I got fatigue and I'm getting tired. I only want to work so hard out here. I only want to be vulnerable, and now I got to eat up clock. And as a way of eating up the clock, once I have a lead, I would give points up. Somebody gets in a takedown that I can fight a little harder and stop, but I'm already up by 7. If they get the point, now we ride around on the mat a little bit. Oh, we hand fight, we turn and face them. I'm only up by 5, but now there's 9 seconds left, as opposed to 40. Right? You give up points to eat up clock. Very common. Very, very common in sport. Aljo threw rounds away against Jon. Aljo won the first 3. He believed. It turned out to be right. Risky game. Won the first 3. He threw away 4 and 5. Purposely. Let Jon have them in exchange for slowing it down, protecting himself. Yes, I'm going to lose. Yes, he's going to win the round, but I'm not going to get caught. I'm not going to get submitted. I'm not going to get knocked out. Aljo had a very clear strategy that I'm at home watching going, wow, risky game, but I see what you're doing. You've already locked it up. Not going to put yourself in a rough situation. Protect yourself at all times. I mean, I just bring that to you. But Aljo did it on the front end. Same way that I would have done it. The same way most wrestlers would do it. You get your points, and then you manage that against the clock. Even if the score gets closer, you run up the clock. I'm saying that clearly, aren't I, guys? But it's very hard because guess what? Every now and then you run into a guy that does it the opposite. He plans to get his point on the back end. He throws the first part away. That's risky. I can't relate to it, but I know it when I see it. I knew to never count out Oscar Wood as he's stumbling around in the 3rd round looking tired. I know to never think Yoel doesn't have a plan. No matter how much time is left, and I'm wondering, is Pierre the same way? I don't know Pierre well enough. I don't think that many of you do. But there are some of you that do. The same way as I'm a wrestling aficionado, I get that it's not a popular sport. I get that I know and devote my time and have a memory on things that won't really transfer into the world. But somebody out there's like that with kickboxing or Muay Thai. I've never heard from that person. The person that's seen all of Pierre's, which I don't even need to be a complete statement. If you've seen a dozen of Pierre's 30 fights, okay, good enough. You've seen them all, right, for the colloquial term. I've never met that guy. Never met that person. I don't know his coaches and trainers that have been along the way. I don't know his parents or wife. Just by example, I don't know somebody that knows, and I'm starting to wonder, is Pereira like Yoel Romero? Did Pereira lose the first 4 rounds? That's what I'm asking him. Did Alex Pereira lose every round going into the 5th because he was in there with a better fighter or because he was throwing them away? I don't know. I truly don't know because I don't know enough about him. But I know the phenomenon is real. And I know I'm highly curious. I know, even if Pereira, okay, here's what I know. Pereira lost the first 4 rounds. I think officially it was 3-1. You get my point. He's losing every bit of the fight. He's a very clear conversation with his cornerman that I must stop him. And he responds, okay, then I'm going to go stop him. He then walked Adesanya down. And he threw punches harder and more accurate than he did in the previous 20 minutes. That's the same thing that Yoel did. That's the same thing that Oscar Wood did, just for example. When I hear about their second kickboxing fight, Adesanya showed he was the better fighter and won every single round. He won every single minute. Time was ticking down. There was one way to win, and it's the one way that Pereira did win. Did Pereira rope-a-dope him? Does Pereira do a different type of math? Which is, I have X amount of energy to go knock him out. But I think if I save that energy and let his battery drain, I'm more likely to do that 20 minutes from right now. That's not the way my mind would work, but it's the way Yoel's worked, and you guys all saw it. Pereira was losing to Adesanya in kickboxing. There was only X amount of time left. He had one way to win. Go knock him out. That's what he went and did. Is that what dreams are made of? Was it a lucky punch? Certainly seemed like that's reasonable until he does it a second time. So I'm asking you, did Pereira let him win the first round? Did Pereira let him win the second and third and fourth round? Because one thing about it is Pereira did have an abnormal amount of energy left. I've heard comparisons to Pereira's stoppage of Adesanya and Leon's stoppage of Kamaru Usman. They were both for championships. They were both in main events. They were both fifth round stoppage, and there was the only way that you could win. There was titles on the line. But were they the same? Boy, they sure weren't to me. Leon did not expect to land that kick. Leon did not have a plan to land that kick. Leon was beaten physically, but he was also beaten mentally. He had checked out of that. It was just a matter of let's get that final horn to go. It's not an insult to Leon at all. That's just what happened. That's not what happened with Pereira. Pereira did not throw a shot that just happened to get through. He walked him down. The only reason Adesanya was in that spot is because there's a fence right behind him. And the only reason the fence is behind him is because Pereira walked him down. He didn't go throw a combo and throw a kick up the opponent happened to dip into. It wasn't that at all. He made a comment to his corner man, which is very hard to do. To muster that energy to one, be able to pay attention, but two, to respond. You're not going to see that going to the fifth round, guys. It's a very rare fight that the athlete will ever respond at any point because he's so fatigued. He'll nod, he doesn't even know what's being said to him. Pereira had a conversation. Pereira asked a question. Glover answered it. Pereira responded to it. That is a shocking amount of energy to have left. He then marched him down, exactly what he planned to do. He throwed urgency with more power and more accuracy than he did in the previous 20 minutes, which is nearly impossible to do because you're tired. Punches don't get better. They don't get harder as the night goes on. That's impossible. That doesn't make any kind of sense, but it happened here, didn't it? And it happened here for the second time. Is Pereira letting Adesanya win? It's a very fair question by me. I watched a lot of guys win a lot of rounds against Yoel Romero, but I didn't see Yoel fighting back. It was strategic and it was planned, and it would change things very much. They're going to offer Adesanya the rematch. Adesanya is going to accept the rematch. I'm not predicting for it. Okay, read between, I'm telling you something. Those two are going to fight again. Odds already came out, said Adesanya is better. And we all watched him fight, and it sure looked like he had more skill. It really did look like that. But this night, Pereira had 25 minutes to do it. In the kickboxing fight, he didn't have 25 minutes. Wherever that finish line was, he knew, right? The horse runs when it sees the barn. Pereira had to get X job done in 12 minutes. He had to get X job done in 15. He needed to get X job in 25. Is that what he's waiting for? Was it a rope-a-dope? Is it not as competitive as it needs to be? This is a strategy by Pereira. It's a fascinating concept. I don't have the answer, by the way. Yes is the answer on the young man I told you about named Oscar. Yes, for sure is the answer with Yoel Romero. I don't know Pereira well enough, but it's possible. Was it his strategy? Was it his plan? Maybe.